autobiography that sold 6 million copies in a 144-month span. It was stated by Time magazine that this autobiography was one of the most influential books of the 20th century. Now, why I mention that is that Time magazine, keep this in mind, Time magazine started on March the 3rd, 1923 by Britton Hayden and Henry Lace, who worked together as chairman and managing editor of Yale News, which was an independent student newspaper started by the students of Yale University. Now, Britton Hayden was a member of Delta Kappa Epsilon that was founded on June the 22nd, 1844, and Henry Luce was a member of Alpha Delta Phi, which was started on October the 29th, 1832. And their junior years, both these two were tapped on the shoulder, and their next year, in their senior year, they became a member of Skull and Bones, which of course during this series right here, we don't have time to get into Skull and Bones, but during a future date, in a future time, we will get into Skull and Bones. And I also want to bring it to light that Alex Haley was a member of A Phi A, Alpha Phi Alpha, which was started in 1906, which among us that are called African Americans, this was the first collegiate fraternity. It wasn't the first fraternity amongst, the so-called Negroes at that time, but it was the first fraternity amongst the blacks at that time to be labeled, to be incorporated into a fraternity. But this work that Alex Haley did, he was born 44 years before the Watts riots, which of course took place 8 years before DJ Kool Herc set forth in motion one of the most important events in hip-hop history when he set the Back to School Jam in the Boogie Down Bronx. Alex Haley was influenced to research his own roots, and it led him to write a book known as Roots, which was published on August 17th, 1976, which was America's 200th year of independence, or the bicentennial. And August 17th was the 89th birthday of the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who of course is the first national hero of Jamaica, which is the birthplace of DJ Kool Herc, and a whole handful, a whole bag full, a camaraderie of important and influential people on the music scene, on the political scene, and just people that you don't even know about, you haven't even heard of yet, that are important. And Jamaica is very spiritually significant to our sojourn and our spiritual transformation and uprising here in the United States of America. And anybody want to know the colors of Jamaica, go ahead and put your arm in front of the camera real quick, Ethan. There you go. Black, green, and gold was how it started off, and now it's yellow, which reflects the sun, green for the land, and black for the people. But this important book, Roots, which is translated in over 37 languages, led to a mini-series of Roots that debuted on January the 23rd, 1977 to January the 30th, 1977, which of course, going back to the beginning of this year, was 33 years ago. And of course, the main key character that Roots revolved around was Kunta Kinte, which was played by LeVar Burton, who was born on February the 16th, 1965, which is of course 5 days before the ritualistic assassination of Malcolm X in the Audubon Ballroom. But LeVar Burton, who played Kunta Kinte, his mother, Bienta, was played by acting legend Cicely Tyson, who turned 76 on December the 19th, 1933. And her father was from the island of Nevis, of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis in West Indies, and he came to New York by way of Ellis Island. He was processed through Ellis Island on August the 4th, 1919, which of course is 36 years before the birth of Professor X, the overseer from the hip-hop activist group X-Clan. And of course, 1919, that was known as Red Summer, which of course they were uprising amongst us from starting on May the 10th, 1919, which lasted until October the 1st, 1919. Now, when we go back 144 years ago from this year, we get to 1866, which was 1 year after, of course, the so-called independence of America's slaves from having to suffer from servitude amongst their masters. But add up the days from May 10th to October 1st and tell me what you get with, what you come up with. But what's important about Cicely Tyson, one thing that's important about her is that she got married to jazz legend Miles Davis in the house of Bill Cosby in a ceremony that was overseen by Andrew Young, who of course was the 14th ambassador of the United Nations in the administration of Jimmy Carter, who of course was a peanut farmer. And of course this was 33 years ago that he became this United States ambassador to the United Nations in the year 1977, which of course was the year that Roots debuted on national television. Now, Cicely Tyson, she starred as Miss Jane Pittman in the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, which was a book that was written by Ernest Gaines, who was born on the 4th birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on January the 15th, 1933. And he wrote the book, Lessons Before Dying. And the book, the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman, which was turned into a television series, which was one of the first television series that actually started to look at the issues of the plight of us here in America as we transform from slavery up into the civil rights movement at that time. This movie debuted on January 31st, 1974, which of course was 36 years ago from today. And the debut of that miniseries actually was, it was either 1 day, according to some documents, and 1 week, according to other documents, just depending on the date that you look at, from the start of Good Times, which of course is a spin-off of the series that was known as MAUDE, M-A-U-D-E, which of course was a spin-off from the series of All in the Family. But when you go back during this time, you have a lot of actors and actresses who played in these movies and these sitcoms at that time, and they all worked together. And I'm going to continue on more when we get to part 3.